One of the saddest things about the end times, aside from the fact that it was the end times and it is the end times, was that it resulted in Age of Sigmar. Now, this is not a video bashing Age of Sigmar or my thoughts on Age of Sigmar, which unfortunately the SparkNotes version is that Age of Sigmar streamlined the rules in a pretty good way. What this video is about is that I think Games Workshop might be starting to try to resurrect some of the love of the original Warhammer Fantasy universe, and that Warhammer Fantasy universe includes is to say for editions 1 through 8. Well, the scrappiness of 1, 2, 3, and 4, but essentially 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy. And this is the Warhammer Fantasy that we see in almost any game out that we see now. You know, we see Mordheim, we see Total War Warhammer. All of these play heavily off of the 8th edition era. In fact, even Mordheim predates 8th edition. So what I want to talk about is the new Warhammer Age of Sigmar Legends, or Warhammer Legends as it's now called. And Games Workshop has released their very first Warhammer Legends Dark Elves, or I'm sorry, the very first Warhammer Legends PDF in the Dark Elves. And this kind of plays heavily on the whole Elves boner that the Games Workshop seems to have right now, which I could not have a problem with at all. I love Elves all the time, every time, all day, all long. Now, what it looks to me is that maybe they saw a lot of the not fame, but I guess success that Total War Warhammer's had, and they've said, hey, you know what? Maybe some people do want to play in what is called the world that was. And this is our way of saying, yeah, you can still play them without their weird names, because you can still play the Dark Elf army. You know, they're in the Grand Alliance of Order, and you can play the Darkling Coven army from the Mortal Realms, and that's essentially the Dark Elves nowadays. And now with the Dark Elf Legends, you can play all your old 8th edition models using updated Age of Sigmar War Scrolls. Now that's pretty cool. It's kind of shitty, but also pretty cool, because now I don't have a whole damn huge box of High Elves that's completely useless. Because they've changed certain things, and you have to have some stuff on round bases. You can still use the square bases, but what the Warhammer Legends Dark Elves does is gives us an actual true rule set. Now, you can't use it in matched play. I believe that's the one stipulation against Warhammer Legends. But what it does allow you to do is finally allows us to get back into the universe we love so much. I mean, if you ask me, I think that Age of Sigmar is leading up to a point where we will have what I'm just going to call 9th edition for sake of argument, wherein it's all the stuff that we love about Warhammer Fantasy put into a new paint job, I guess you could say, because, you know, we're getting these Sea Elves, and the Sea Elves are cool, and Teclis is still very much a part of things. Morathi's back in some way or another, even though she's like a shape-shifting sex demon dragon snake queen. But I think that they're trying to just revamp everything so that they, of course, yes, it's copyrightable. That's a big thing. That's a whole big thing as to why they did Age of Sigmar in the first place. But mainly, I think this is their way of saying, hey, we're going to destroy the world. Things are going to suck for an edition or two while we rebuild the world. But ultimately, it's going to come back to looking somewhat similar to the way 8th edition world looked, the world that was. And it's going to be the world that is. Because right now, everything lives in these different realms. And it's very like somewhat Nordic in its portrayal of those realms. You know, with Midgard and Alfheim and the such. It's not really the names of it. I'm just trying to say there's all these different realms. And I think that what they're going to do is eventually have a moment, have another campaign that brings everything back to quote unquote Jesus. And we're going to have a moment where Age of Sigmar is no longer Age of Sigmar. It's just going to be like the age that was. Or that is. I'm not sure. But I think that the Warhammer Legends is a really good step towards bringing back Warhammer Fantasy in a way that is recognizable to those that love and miss it, and identifiable and relatable to those that were never a part of it. There are now generations. Oh God, it makes me sound like I'm fucking like 95. Generations of Warhammer players that have never played or even know about 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy. I can't imagine living in a world like that, but they exist. And it's because Age of Sigmar for all of its faults, is a way more approachable rule set to the Warhammer gaming universe, and that's kind of the crux that it operates under. And same thing that they did to 8th edition Warhammer 40,000 is, let's take the bloat out of these rules and make this workable for people that don't want to sit there and play a 9.5 hour game. I don't know if you've played 8th edition Warhammer 40,000. It's still like a 3.5 hour game, so you still have plenty of combat and stuff to go around. But I think what's so important again about Warhammer Legends is it's a great way to bridge that gap, and in a good way, in a solid way. Because on top of this isn't just bringing rules. So if we take a look at the Warhammer community website, and we see the very first thing about Warhammer Legends Dark Elves, we see that they've also released units with them on a round basis, no less. So we will finally have access to models that we haven't had access to in a very long time, ever since Age of Sigmar really started and they kind of phased them out. They're going to start doing again your Lokir Fellheart, your Dreadlord on horseback, your Dark Elf Sorceress, your Dreadlord on foot with a great weapon or not a great weapon. You finally are going to be able to kind of crack back into the you even get like Mengel's Manhide Flayers. I mean, that's rad. And old school Marathi. So we're finally going to have a way to touch up on these. And this is, again, I think that definitely this is Games Workshop kind of going, ooh, maybe we should have waited until after Total War and then just changed the name of everything after Total War, because Total War was such a success that we probably could have eked out a better life in a 9th edition rather than an Age of Sigmar. So with them bringing back models, bringing back units, and giving them actual updated rules, I think that finally Games Workshop is going to kind of say, all right, here's your edition 8.5 while we work on what is going to become of the Age of Sigmar. And as the Age of Sigmar rule set kind of fleshes out, because I think we're starting to get more and more of the world coming to us, especially with the way the Sea Elves work and how Teclis is kind of portrayed with the history of the Sea Elves, and the Sea Elves kind of like hungering for the souls and stuff like that. They have a really crazy lore. I think we're finally going to start to see that Age of Sigmar world kind of come to that 9th edition kind of overall realm, I guess you could say. But this kind of touches up on maybe the possible resurrection of Warhammer Fantasy, and hopeful continuation of a great line. I think that if they're doing the Dark Elves right now, we'll soon see the Wood Elves and the High Elves come after that, because I assume that they don't have to do much to update these, and they'll probably base their supply of models. It seems to be that they're only doing the HQ models for the Lords and Heroes units for the reprints, but in the actual Dark Elf Warhammer Legend PDF, it's the rules for everything, not just the Heroes and Lords. So their actual Dread Spears are on here, Bleak Swords are on here, Black Ark Corsairs are on here. Everything you can imagine that was in the 8th edition book is in this PDF. So I think they're going to be covering everything, and hopefully the next ones, High Elves and Dark Elves, or High Elves and Wood Elves, which I guess just plays in the whole current elf theme that they're rocking on right now, would just make a lot of sense. So maybe my High Elves will finally enter the Age of Sigmar battlefield. But again, you can't do matched play from what I understand. And if you guys know different, please let me know in the comment section below. That's an important distinguisher here. But if you guys want to know more about Warhammer Legends, do let me know. I'm more than happy to continue to cover this kind of new footage coming out from the Warhammer community and from Games Workshop. I think it's pretty important to the hobby as a whole, and for those of you guys that actually do take part in the hobby as well as the Total War franchise, I think it's definitely worth knowing about. But thanks for watching here today, guys. If you do have any comments, or if there's anything you want to talk about from either a lore perspective about this, because I think this does bring up a lot of lore questions, do let me know, because they have also started to re-release all the Warhammer Chronicles, and the Sundering was just re-released not too long ago as well, or it's about to be re-released. It's one or the other. It's 1 or 2 months spread from now, or has happened from now. But it kind of, again, plays into that whole overall elf mechanic that Games Workshop is touching on. But again, guys, let me know if this is some footage that you'd like to hear more on, or if you have any input on Warhammer Legends or your excitement, go ahead and comment below. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe, all that kind of action. But thanks so much for watching here today, guys. Have a good one, take care, and enjoy.